Hello and welcome to the Friday night edition of the Niall Fraser Show. Thank you for joining us. Already 70 people waiting as that clock ticked down there. Coming up on the Niall Fraser Show this evening, we've got the Rumble in the Oval Office. Zelensky versus Trump. We've got the Epstein files bungled. What a debacle that turned out to be. And Rangers go woke. All that and more coming up on the Niall Fraser Show, but we have to start it off with our glorious intro music. Welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get this Friday night rocking. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Niall Fraser Show. Settle in, get yourself a cup of tea, get yourself a coffee, because you won't want to miss this one. What a day of events there was in the world today. What sheer craziness is happening in the world today. Minute by minute, it was Keir Starmer yesterday. I've got some papers to go at the end of the show, but it was Keir Starmer yesterday in the Oval Office, and today, Zelensky's in there, and he didn't get as good a reception as Keir Starmer did. You know, Keir Starmer went armed with a letter from the King, and that was his trump card. I've got a letter from the king here, wishing for you to come on another state visit. Incredible stuff. Anyway, let's just not waste any time and go straight into, well, in fact, we are going to waste a tiny bit of time because I broke an exclusive story today, and we're going to look at that first. First things first. Let's bring up a page. Sorry if you can hear my child crying in the background. Right. So here we have. I broke an exclusive story today, and for the life of me, it sort of exemplified Scotland in 2025. Although I think this has probably been going on quite a while. But watch this clip, and you tell me what you think.
Children's nurseries in Glasgow and are using metal detectors before the children that's in their care go out to play in an effort to locate carelessly discarded needles, syringes, or even the spoons. I'll repeat that slowly for you, Mr. Swinney. Local nurseries are having to use metal detectors to keep children safe. You couldn't make that up in 2025. You couldn't.
Wow. Right, so this is the situation we've got here in Scotland. We've got such a preponderance of drug users here in Scotland, especially in East End of Glasgow. Such a huge, overwhelming number of drug addicts. And they must go somewhere. The needles that they use must go somewhere. And that they're not being disposed of correctly. They're being recklessly discarded. And what's happening is, incredibly, a nursery has to put in a risk assessment that they have to go out with a metal detector. Well, one, they do a visual check of the play area. Then they go out with the metal detector to clear the area of needles, sometimes twice a day. That's the situation here we've got in Scotland, and it is absolutely mind-blowing that the lengths, this nursery has to go to in order to clear the area of discarded needles. And can we're protecting the nursery here from reputational impact. It's no their fault that this is happening, not at all. But there surely needs to be something done about this. If ever there was a wake-up call to Scots and Scotland itself on the impact that this drug epidemic is having, then surely it's a nursery having to go out with a metal detector to sweep for discarded needles, spoons, and other paraphernalia. Surely that is the wake-up call. If anything was a wake-up call, surely that has to be it. So I couldn't really start the show without telling you this. You can check it out in my profile. Just go down a bit, breaking exclusive story. Again, I'm hoping that Neil Gray comes on and says that's misinformation. Niall's talking shite. I'm hoping he says that, because then the penny will drop when he finds out that it's real. Of course, we've got the Epstein files come up. I've got the files right here on my computer. But first, we go to the main story of the day. I mean, it is the craziest story ever. First, we're going to start because I think we need a tiny bit of backstory here, and who to go to for the backstory, but a man that I was in the same party as for a while, and that man is George Galloway. So George Galloway's crept back into the media spotlight recently. It was on Piers Morgan on a clip that went absolutely viral, went absolutely viral. But we'll listen to George Galloway's take on the Ukraine situation, and this is what this has happened before Zelensky even entered the White House. Well, we'll get this up. And we'll make this big screen for you.
Really come to something when, having spent a lifetime myself fighting against NATO and American wars, it's the Americans that are trying to stop the war, and Piers Morgan, Boris Johnson and Keir Starmer, who are trying to keep it going.
Boris Johnson 3 years ago scuppered peace talks. Boris Johnson went across and scuppered peace talks with Ukraine. And what's happened since? Millions of people have died. Why do they not want peace in the region? I don't know.
I don't want to keep it going.
A lot of Ukrainian,
I don't want to keep it going.
You've got a lot of Ukrainian blood on your hands. You have lied about this war from the beginning.
Actually, Vladimir,
you have lied about the origin of this war, about the duration of this war, about the course of this war, and now having caused you and your war party the death of 1 million Ukrainians while claiming to love Ukrainians, you're now calling for British lives to be lost.
what a load of absolute bullshit.
That constitutes close to a war crime. You're going to regret it when very soon Zelensky is sitting in a beachfront villa somewhere, counting his ill-gotten gains. And all the secrets of the rampant corruption between the Democrats and the Zelensky regime begin to tumble out of the cupboard. This war did not begin 3 years ago. You very well know that it began in 2014. You very well know that it began with a coup against the elected president of Ukraine, backed by Victoria Nuland and the administration at that time, and supported by you. You very well know that the criminalization of the Russian language, which followed hard on the heels of that coup, was the proximate reason for an uprising in the east of the country amongst Russian-speaking, ethnically Russian people. You very well know that Zelensky and his predecessor rained down shot and shell on the people of East Ukraine for 8 years before Putin intervened in 2022, and that 14,000 people, most of them women and children, were killed in that onslaught. You very well know that Zelensky was preparing for a final onslaught, a final solution. And while I'm on that subject, you're always telling us how much you love the Jews. You're supporting a regime which puts up statues to Nazi collaborators, to generals of the Galician division of the SS. You are
Zelensky is Jewish, you know that, right? You know Zelensky's Jewish, right?
But that's like saying there's no racism in America because Obama.
So so you're calling the Jewish leader of Ukraine a Nazi. Is that your position?
That's like saying there's no racism in America because Obama was briefly the president of the country. The entire western part of Ukraine played a decisive role in the mass murder of Jews and Poles and others in the Second World War. And now they are heroizing the heroes of the SS. Why doesn't Donald Trump agree with you?
Because he's wrong.
Well, you know, you have been up his ass all of these 2 decades.
It's just too. People are just losing their shit these days.
You've fawned upon him.
Really?
You have been his super fan, and now on this fundamental question of our age, he's entirely wrong. Everybody watching knows you are Trump's biggest ass.
I like him.
Everybody watching
I like Donald Trump.
I know you like him.
I like
don't
him.
Like him.
And on many things, I like him. And on many things,
fundamental question.
Let me finish.
The biggest question in politics in the world today, he's got it completely wrong.
No, Ukraine
was the most corrupt country.
What, more corrupt than Russia?
More corrupt than Russia? It was designated by the Economist.
What about?
And that's that clip, basically, ladies and gentlemen. There's one more second of that, but that's, I mean, this as a way of introduction to the day. I thought I would play that clip because that was a viral clip that happened, you know, in the hours leading up to Zelensky actually arriving there. And the day before, I don't know if I've got a Starmer clip somewhere, but Starmer was in the Oval Office just the other day, and I think I've got some bookmarks. Let me see. Let me see. I mean, it's just my bookmarks are absolutely full of Trump Zelensky. It's absolutely wild stuff happening. Right, so we're just going to fire him. We don't need the Starmer clip. We know Starmer went there. It was actually quite funny to see Starmer in the Oval Office, wasn't it? It was quite funny to see him. It felt like he was in his element, actually, Starmer. You know what I mean? I was at the same time, you know, I thought Starmer. Well, at least Trump spoke well of Starmer. You know, say he was working hard at lunch, which is obviously smoozing. What's the comment saying? I was talking to friends that said I knew nothing about Ukraine yet, never knew who Poroshenko was. Nobody seems to know about the Maiden Revolution. What's Matthew Middleton? Welcome back, Matthew. Since Pierre's got his own show, it's been great. To be fair to him, he doesn't stop talking. Folks swearing. To be fair, Matt, you know, George Galloway's giving it to him, stinking, and he's just allowing it, which is, you know, it's good television. I'll give you that, Matthew. I'll give you that. So let's just hit the arguments in the Oval Office. You know, it started with the talks. Oh, there's been an argument in the Oval Office. But let's watch. There's a full clip, 7 minutes. Let me see if I can get it. It's just so many. But let's look at some of the reactions. Let's look at some of the reactions. Here we go. This is Majid Nawaz. He used to have an LBC show on an LBC. Zelensky in the Oval Office being treated like the embezzling Azov Nazi collaborating cocaine clown that he is. Why don't you wear a suit? Do you own a suit?
Why don't you wear a suit?
You're
the highest level in this country's office, and you refuse to wear a suit. Just want to see if do you own a suit?
Yeah, problems.
A lot of Americans have problems with you not respecting the dignity of this office.
I will wear a costume after.
З приводу костюма, коли він переодягнеться вже з форми на костюм.
Maybe
something like yours, yes. Maybe something better. I don't know. We will see. Maybe something.
See, it's just, I mean, what is this question? You know what I mean? But it leads to the bigger fact. You know, we see Zelensky all the time. He arrives at Downing Street and he's in this sort of battle attire. He arrives in the Oval Office. He's in this sort of battle attire. You know, he's playing a role here. He's playing a role. That's what he's doing. But let's get to the crazy argument. Here it is in full. Right, ladies and gentlemen, are you ready for this? And we'll pause it at points because, first of all, let's start with, I'll take us to the now. Let's start by saying, you know, it was just a week ago, Trump called Zelensky a dictator. So straight away, he's going to go into this meeting on the back foot, Zelensky. And he's got nothing to offer, really. If it wasn't for the backing of Europe, the European countries, the backing of the USA, Ukraine would have been finished a long, long time ago. So without this help from the European Union, from the America, Ukraine would have faltered within weeks. You know, the war would have been over within weeks. We went through the numbers. I might even have the numbers here. I think the population of Ukraine, if it serves my memory correct, is like 40 million versus 140 million Russians. So there's no way that Ukraine can possibly win this war. No way whatsoever. It's never going to happen without the help of all the other countries. And one of the biggest sort of sayings that happened today was he's gambling. You know, Zelensky's gambling with World War III. But let's listen, and you can see for yourself.
Can I ask you?
Sure.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So he occupied our parts, big parts of Ukraine, part of East and Crimea.
So this is why I wanted to play the George Galloway clip at the start. He occupied these areas because they were trying to cleanse it of Russian-speaking people.
So he occupied it on 2014. So during a lot of years, so I'm not speaking about just Biden, but those time was Obama, then President Obama, then President Trump, then President Biden, now President Trump, and God bless, now President Trump will stop him. But during 2014, nobody stopped him. He just occupied and took. He killed people. You know what the contact line?
2015.
2014.
2014 is
Well, 2014.
Yeah. So
I was,
he
I was
killed.
not here.
Yeah, but,
That's exactly
but
right.
yes, but during 2014 till 2022, the situation the same. The people are been dying on the contact line. Nobody stopped him. You know that we had conversations with him, a lot of conversation, my bilateral conversation, and we signed with him, me, like a new president. In 2019, I signed with him the deal. I signed with him, Macron and Merkel, we signed ceasefire. Ceasefire. All of them told me that he will never go. We signed him with gas contract. Yes, but after that, he broke the ceasefire. He killed our people and he didn't exchange prisoners. We signed the exchange of prisoners, but he didn't do it. What kind of diplomacy, JD, you are speaking about? What do you mean?
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
Yes, but if you are
Mr.
not
President,
strong,
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come to the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media. Right now, you guys are going around and forcing conscripts to the front lines because you have manpower problems. You should be thanking the president for trying to bring an end to.
This is again, we talked about this on the show just last week. We showed you the clips of the Ukrainian military recruiters in huge quotation marks, just going and ripping people off the streets, throwing them in the back of the vans, and then pushing them onto the front line to be killed by drone by some nameless, faceless person miles away by drone. That's what's happening in the Ukraine. They've got it's not even manpower problems. It's that nobody wants to fight as well.
To this
have
conflict.
you ever been to Ukraine that you say what problems we have?
I have been to.
Come once.
I've actually watched and seen the stories, and I know what happens is you bring them on a propaganda tour, Mr. President. Do you disagree that you've had problems?
This is, JD is not holding back here. You bring them on a propaganda tour. Fucking hell. This is. We're going to get to the roots of this problem, and no wonder he's going to, Zelensky gets angry here. They start arguing, and then eventually gets ejected from the White House.
What, bringing people into your military?
We have
and do you think that it's respectful to come to the Oval Office of the United States of America and attack the administration that is trying to prevent the destruction of your country?
A lot of questions. Let's start from the beginning.
Sure.
First of all, during the war, everybody has problems. Even you, but you have nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future. God bless.
You don't know that.
God bless.
You
God bless. You
It's a crazy thing to think for to say him there. You've got a nice ocean. You won't feel it now, but you'll feel it in the future. Saying, "Oh, if they take over us, they're going to take over you." Basically, in essence, that's what he's saying.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
Exactly.
We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because
I'm
you're in no
answering.
position
he
to
is.
dictate that.
That's
Remember
exactly
this.
what
I'm not.
You're in
dictating.
no position to dictate what we're
See the reaction here as well. It's scandalous. The reaction here is scandalous. Zelensky has been out with his begging bowl for years now. Goes around countries, and all of a sudden we send billions, and it's gone missing. Where's the money going? We hear the stories of these rich Ukrainians buying up huge lots of land, buying up real estate everywhere, living it up in the lifestyle, the luxury lifestyle. How is this possible?
going to feel. We're going to feel very good.
You will feel influence.
We're going to feel very good and very
You
strong.
will feel influence.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed
From the
yourself
very-
to be in a
from
very
the very
bad position,
beginning
and he
of the
happens
war.
to be right about
From
it.
the very beginning of the war.
You're not
Mr.
in a good
Brown,
position.
I
You don't
was
have
in
the cards right now. With us, you start
I'm
having
not playing
cards. But
cards.
right now, you
I'm
don't.
very
Yeah, you're playing
serious,
cards.
Mr. President.
You're
I'm
playing
very
cards.
serious.
You're
I'm
gambling
the
with the
president
lives
in
of
war.
millions of people.
You think-
You're gambling with World War
What do you-
III.
what do you
You're
think about?
gambling with
What do you
World
think
War III.
This is just crazy to see in the media, ladies and gentlemen. Well, surely you can agree on this, that this is, I mean, we'll go on to, and you know, the other segment, but this is the most transparent politics has ever been. This is the most transparent politics that we would never have seen a meeting like this. Never. And you know, to a certain extent, you know, it's not really a true reflection of what these people would say behind closed doors, is it? It's not a true reflection because we know there's cameras there. So Zelensky's not speaking the same. Trump's not speaking the same. JD Vance is not speaking the same. Everyone in that room is not speaking the same because there's cameras on them. So, but this is just crazy to see. He's gambling with World War III.
And what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country. It's
with
back
all
to
respect
you.
to your
Far
country.
more than a lot of people said they
respect.
should have.
Have you said thank you once?
A lot of times.
No, in this
Even
entire meeting,
today.
have you said thank
Even
you.
today.
You went to Pennsylvania and campaigned for the opposition in October. Offer some words of approval.
Well, play the video. And you know, I could comment all day. I could pause it at certain bits. I mean, there's just so much. There's so dense. This
Appreciation for the United States of America and the president who's trying to save your country.
Please, you think that if you will speak very loudly about the war, you
He's
can...
not speaking loudly. He's not speaking loudly. Your country's in big trouble.
Can I
Wait a
answer?
minute. No.
Can
You've
I
done a lot
answer?
of talking. Your country is in big trouble.
I know.
You're not
I
winning.
know.
You're not winning this. You have a damn good chance of
we are
coming out
staying,
okay because of
Mr.
us.
President, we are staying in our country, staying strong from the very beginning of the war. We've been alone, and we are thankful. I said...
That's a lie. That's a lie. Ukraine have never been alone in this fight. Never. They wouldn't have been able to continue the fight if they were alone. They were never alone. They've got the backing of the Europe, this sort of latent backing of the UK and the US. It's this latent backing that's prevented the whole destruction of the UK, the Ukraine. They were never alone. And to say that with a straight face is just bullshit.
You haven't
in
been
this
alone.
cabinet,
You
and
haven't
not
been
only
alone.
in this
We
cabinet.
gave you, through
I
this
said thank
stupid
you.
president, $350 billion.
You voted
We gave
for
you
your
military equipment.
You
And
voted
you men
for
are
your
brave,
president.
but they had to use our military.
What about
If you didn't have
You
our
invited
military
me.
equipment,
You invited
if
me
you
to
didn't
speak.
have our military equipment, this war would have been over in 2 weeks.
In 3
okay?
days, I heard it from Putin. In 3 days, this is something
Maybe
new.
less.
In 2 weeks, of course, yes.
It's going to be a very hard thing to do business like this, I tell you.
Say thank you.
I said a lot of times thank you to American people.
Except that there are disagreements, and let's go litigate those disagreements rather than trying to fight it out in the American media when you're wrong. We know that you're wrong.
But you see, I think
Exactly.
it's good for the American people to see what's going on.
And Trump's absolutely
I think
right
it's
when he
very
says this. It's like a palate cleanser for the entire world. This Zelensky's getting a dressing down here. They were never alone. They couldn't put up a fight if it was just themselves. And he's getting a dressing down here.
But that's why I kept this going so long. You have to be thankful. You don't have the
I'm
cards.
thankful.
You're buried there. Your people are dying.
tell you
You're
again,
running
I
low
know.
on soldiers. Listen,
Please,
you're running
Mr.
low on
President.
soldiers. It would be a damn good thing.
Mr.
And then
President.
then you tell us, I don't want a ceasefire. I don't want a ceasefire. I want to go and I wanted this. Look, if you could get a ceasefire right now, I tell you, you take it so the bullets stop flying and your men
Exactly.
stop getting killed.
Exactly. The Ukraine is in such a bad position. They can't go on. They're running out of men. They're conscripting people off the streets. They can't go on. Their cities are in, rubble. And if Russia really wanted to destroy Kiev, they would have done it by now. I don't think they want to do it. There's something. Zelensky's in an impossible position. He's in an impossible position. And you have to sort of feel for Zelensky as well, because he's the man that he's already checkmated, and yet, you know, he's wanted to turn the board upside down and go for another game. He's been checkmated. He can't win this war. He can't win. So he needs to find a diplomatic solution to this. They can't fight on without the backing of like the entirety of Europe and the backing of the US. So Trump's absolutely correct here. He's got no cards left to play. Without the US, they've got no cards. Without Europe, without any other backing, they've got no cards whatsoever.
Of course, we want to stop the war.
But you're saying you don't want a ceasefire.
But I said to you,
I want a ceasefire.
With guarantees.
Because you'll get a ceasefire faster than an agreement.
Ask our people about ceasefire, what they think.
That wasn't with me.
For you what,
that
what
wasn't with me. That was with a guy named Biden, who was not a smart person. That was with Obama.
It was your president.
Excuse me. That was with Obama, who gave you sheets, and I gave you javelins.
Yes.
I gave you the javelins to take out all those tanks. Obama gave you sheets. In fact, the statement is Obama gave sheets and Trump gave javelins. You got to be more thankful, because let me tell you, you don't have the cards. With us, you have the cards. But without us, you don't have any cards.
Just wowzers, ladies and gentlemen. The fact that this has been played out right in front of the TV cameras is nothing short of fucking mental. And here we have the statement of Trump once Zelensky has left. A statement from Donald J. Trump. We had a very meaningful meeting in the White House today. Much was learned that could never be understood without conversation under such fire and pressure. It's amazing what comes out through emotion, and I've determined that President Zelensky is not ready for peace if America is involved, because he feels our involvement gives him a big advantage in negotiations. This is the thing. You know, remember what a week ago we hear the stories. You know, Trump calls him a dictator. Then Zelensky says that he's willing to leave if it means a peace deal. And here he is. He feels like he's playing for time. Feels like Zelensky's playing for time. Determined that President Zelensky is not ready for peace if America is involved, because he feels an involvement gives him a big advantage in negotiations. And that, yeah, I think that's probably the overarching point here, is that he feels that he's got, if he's got the Americans on his side, it gives him a huge advantage, but he won't relinquish that. I don't want advantage. I want peace. This is Trump speaking. He disrespected the United States of America in its cherished Oval Office. He can come back when he's ready for peace. What a crazy, you know, this is just, it's a crazy situation, ladies and gentlemen, isn't it? But I suspect, and this, again, it's echoes of Little Rocket Man. It's echoes of Kim Jong-un. When, you know, they're testing missiles and they're firing them right across into the sea just near South Korea. And South Korea's kicking up fuck. And, you know, Trump says, little Rocket Man, you know, I'll rain so much fire and fury down upon you that the world has never ever seen. Little Rocket Man. And then fast forward a few weeks or so, and he's shaking hands with a man, walking across the DMZ. Kim Jong-un's walking across the DMZ in another direction to South Korea. You know, Trump is a peacemaker, but it's peace through strength. What is it? You know, if you want peace, prepare for war. So that's Trump's statement on it. We'll see if we can get some more clips.
Tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because you're in no position.
I've seen that one. Just watch this one.
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come to the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media. Right now, you guys are going around and forcing...
Just look at it's the body language here. The body language tells it all. The Americans are relaxed. Zelensky is on the defensive immediately. You can tell it by his demeanor, what he's talking about, the way he's talking, his mannerisms, and of course, his body language. But we've seen that clip before. This is quite a good one as well. This is the Ukrainian ambassador to the US is on the verge of tears.
I want a ceasefire because you get a ceasefire faster than an agreement. Ask our people about ceasefire, what they think. But I said to you, I want a ceasefire because you get a ceasefire faster than an agreement. Ask our people about it.
There needs to be a ceasefire, ladies and gentlemen, and it needs to end. It needs to end. And here we go. Spot the difference, ladies and gentlemen. Spot the difference. And this is what I'm saying. Body language, demeanor tells it all. Zelensky's walked into that Oval Office when Biden was in charge. Well, Biden was in charge. And Zelensky is very open. He's dictating his terms. He's telling the American public what he wants them to think. And it's entirely different. Fast forward 4 years. And look at the difference. Look at the difference. He's on the defensive. He's on the back foot. Because he can't play his narrative. What a great picture that is. What a great picture. And here we go. We're going to look at, responses from around the world as well. And it feels like all the Scottish talking points are pro-Ukraine. First live show, Kinnan Park. Welcome in. The water's warm, Kinnan Park. The water's warm. And we'll be talking about Rangers later on. And probably not in a great way. But, I'm a Rangers supporter. But we'll be talking about Rangers in not such a great way later on. And this is, we're going to look at the sort of responses around the world. We've got the Scottish response. We've got the English response. We've got just the responses from across the world. Commenting on Ukraine following the meeting between President Trump and Zelensky, SNP Foreign Affairs spokesperson. So someone who shouldn't exist. Why does the SNP have a Foreign Affairs spokesperson? Don't know. This is something that should be for UK only. There should be a UK Foreign Affairs, and that's it. I don't think Stephen Geffens should be in a job here. Earlier this week, I visited Kiev to mark the 3rd anniversary of Putin's illegal invasion and saw firsthand impact it has had on Ukraine. From the opening days of the invasion, the people of the Ukraine have shown heroic opposition to the brutality of Putin's regime and his illegal war of aggression. President Zelensky himself has provided strong leadership and a lesson in personal courage. No, really. His appalling treatment in the White House today is grotesque and outrageous. Ukraine is fighting for democracy and defending us all. This bullying performance in the Oval Office outlines yet again that Europe can no longer rely on the USA and must do more for its own security and support. This is Trump is trying to find a way to peace here. And he's, and this guy's just condemning it all. And he's failing to see, he doesn't see the forest for the trees. This Stephen Geffens. That the Ukraine is already a lost cause. People are dying needlessly. When he's talking about the heroic opposition to the brutality of Putin's regime, what's the heroic opposition? Is this people getting lifted off the streets and sent to the front line? Is that heroic opposition? The killing must stop. The war must stop. Ukrainian, it was 60,000 people missing. His appalling treatment in the White House today is grotesque and outrageous. Ukraine is fighting for democracy and defending us all. The bullying performance in the Oval Office outlines yet again that Europe can no longer rely on the USA and must do more for its own security and to support the Ukraine. Why is it? And what are all these? It feels like the Scottish response is sort of universal. It's condemning Trump. The UK response seems to be, on the whole, condemning Trump. When really, Ukraine, like Trump's saying, they've got fuck all cards to play. If you ever play poker, he's got a busted flush. He's got nothing. And all he's relying on now is a total bluff. And everyone's calling his bluff. No, he's got nowhere to go. He's on the back foot. And without all this financial backing from Europe, from the USA, they wouldn't have been able to contest this war so far. Today's events put the tone of the Prime Minister's visit to the White House in a new light. It is vital that the UK government reaffirms its commitment to stand by Ukraine and work with our European partners to ensure a strong and united position in support. This war, I don't think these people want this war to end, ever. I think our economy is so fucked, that they want this war to continue evermore. One of these forever wars that becomes the new economy, the war economy. Pink Pillows, greetings from Washington. Quite a situation happening on your side of the pond today, Pink Pillows. Quite a situation. And we'll talk about the Epstein files as another situation. But let's look at some other responses. This is Stephen Geffins from the SNP, and you'll see a sort of the same similar vein flowing through the. Well, here is Zelensky's response once he's left the White House. Thank you, America. Thank you for your support. Thank you for this visit. Thank you, POTUS, Congress, and the American people. Ukraine needs just and lasting peace, and we're working exactly for that. So what I think has happened, he's been ejected for the White House, right? And people are saying the murmurs in the media are that he was begging to stay. Please don't kick me out the White House, because he wants to appear, what's the word I'm looking for? He wants to appear strong and courageous in the media, standing up for his country. But in behind closed doors, it's the opposite thing. He's begging for money. So, of course, once he's left, the main contention here being that he's disrespected America in the Oval Office. That's what the American situation is. Magnanimous. What a great word that is, Glenn. Magnanimous. It needs to be replaced if Ukraine wants a chance at peace. Absolutely, Pink Pillows. He's already sort of. I think that'll be a part of the deal. And I think on Monday, if there isn't sort of any furthering of this peace talks, by Monday, what we're going to do, we're going to have a Monday peace deal show. We're going to have a peace deal show, and I'll see if I can get an interactive table, and we can put things on the table. And I think one of the things that needs to be put on the table, Pink Pillows, is that Zelensky needs to go. Obviously, when we're talking about the USA's involvement, they want the mineral rights of they want to mine for the rare earth minerals in the Ukraine to use them for AI projects and weapons. So that's what they're putting on their side of the table. Putin on the other side of the table, he is putting down where he wants to give the USA 2 million tons of aluminium to sort of to stabilize the aluminium market. Zelensky's departure is where a deal needs to start. I do think, I mean that if Zelensky, there's no peace deal that I can see that will ever sort of make it to, you know, the touchline. There's no peace deal that will make it to the touchline that has Zelensky still being there. It's impossible. Russia will want him gone. The USA will want him gone. Europe will want him gone. Everybody will want Zelensky gone. But then he'll be given a big compensation package. And this is the thing, like, the corruption is just so rampant that he'll have so many millions squirreled away already. You know, he was already on thin ice with the US. Well, the thing is, the USA, you know, it's a bit different over here in Europe, isn't it? Where we see Ukraine and Russia battling it out. You know, it feels like you could be there in 4 or 5 hours, I think, 5, 6 hours on a plane. But the USA, there's an ocean between them. And I think they're finished. The USA is finished with sending huge amount of money for other people to fight wars. Why would they do it? They're finished with that. We're finished with that, they're saying in the US. So Zelensky's statement here is basically, he's just capitulating. Thank you, he's saying. You know, he knows that he's embarrassed himself. So you'll see inevitably, you embarrassed yourself in Ukraine. But the main contention here on the US side was that, you know, it didn't even say thank you for all the help that they've been given. And, you know, they could have been destroyed if it wasn't for the USA's help. And I don't think a peace deal will ever happen without the backing of the US. Trump truly wants people to stop dying and for the US to stop being taken advantage of. That's all. I mean, what else could you ask for? What else could you ask for, Pink Paws? I don't know. So Zelensky, that was Zelensky's response. We get that's the full exchange. Is Zelensky a genuine retard? Why would you actively try and piss off your sponsors? And this is the thing. It's like biting the hand that feeds, isn't it? It's exactly the same premise. They're providing such a huge amount of financial backing to this war, or have done with the Biden administration, the previous administration. And he keeps going back to, you know, Zelensky keeps going back to, well, your people voted for them. And again, I don't think Biden made his way into office legitimately. Joe Biden stole the 2020 election. They used COVID as the precursor to issue these mail-in ballots, and then they stole the election. So really, it wasn't the American people that you know. I think Biden administration, it was just a corrupt administration. They've done everything they can to sort of sow chaos everywhere they went, because their window of chaos causing opportunism was closing. They only had 4 years to create as much chaos as they possibly could, and then that was it. You know, the game's a bogey. But here we go, Ed Davey, Lib Dem leader here in Scotland. This is fuggery from Trump and Vance. Quite simple. Did you watch the same video as me? Did that seem like fuggery? Not to me. Not to me, who's used to being in quite intense meetings. This isn't that wasn't fuggery at all. They're just telling him like it is. They're putting him in his place. But you can't have a correct meeting, a meeting where, you know, all the cards are put on the table without sort of addressing some of the harder points. But I think Zelensky's taking it personally. He's taking it personally when he shouldn't be taking it personally. They're bullying the brave and true patriot Zelensky. Yeah, this is the United States, United Kingdom sort of response. This Ed Davies sort of encapsulates the response for the UK, and it's mostly like this. check out the tweet for the National. We'll do that as well. They're bullying the brave, true patriot Zelensky into accepting a deal which effectively hands victory to Russia unless the UK and Europe step up. We're facing a betrayal of Ukraine. No, the person who betrayed Ukraine was Zelensky himself. A true patriot, Zelensky. You know, a corrupt, cocaine-sniffing lunatic. True patriot, Ed Davies says. A true patriot. But why is Ed Davies saying this? I'm trying to work out what is it that the UK and these leaders, you know, because it's the same sort of feeling right across Scotland. You've got basically they're saying the exact same thing as Ed Davies here. What are we getting? What are the Scottish leaders getting from this? What is Ed Davies getting from this? What is the UK in general getting from this war? I don't know. But they must be getting something. We must be getting something. Check out the tweet for the National. Thanks for all the comments, Pink Paws. It's so appreciated. The thing is, Trump is pissed the USA has been ripped off under Biden. He wants to make sure we don't get taken advantage of, especially if he's trying to bring about peace. Exactly. So let's see some other responses. And here we go. The Russian Foreign Ministry's response. Russian Foreign Ministry spokeswoman, says how Trump and Vance restrained themselves and did not hit Zelensky is a miracle of restraint. This is just, one, it's genius. And two, it's probably true. He's ripped them off so much. And he's basically spat at them and he's bit the hand that feeds. So I don't think the Russian Foreign Ministry spokeswoman is very far off the mark at all. But the Russians are clearly loving this. Do we have any more? There we go. Caroline Lucas of the Green Party. She's the MP for Brighton and Pavilion, 2000 to 2024. Utterly stomach churning. And is this really the man we're going to fawn over with a state visit? The PM must pick a side. We're seeing, again, we signalled quite clearly, was it maybe 2 weeks ago on one of the shows? And by the way, we're on our 30th show tonight, ladies and gentlemen. 30th. We've done 30 shows and we're smashing it. The leader. Zelensky's the first person in history, the first leader in history to be kicked out of the White House. Unbelievable scenes. So we're just watching history unfold before our very eyes, Pink Pillows. But this is the same thing, right? A few weeks ago, we're talking about the Lib Dems. And, you know, they're making these curious moves, these curious political maneuverings. And it seems to be on the side of, like, the Lib Dems seem to be trying to hoover up this anti-Trump narrative, the anti-Trump sentiment in the UK. They seem to be trying to capture that and convert that into votes for themselves. That's what the Lib Dems seem to be doing. The Greens are doing the exact same thing. But they're trying to put Keir Starmer in an awkward position. The thing is, Trump is, I would say Trump is universally loved over here in the UK. I would say he's universally loved. In Scotland, I'd say he's loved as well, with the few exceptions. Of course, we had, what was her name? God rest her soul, Jamie Godley, now deceased. She went up to one of his resorts or another Trump is a cunt sign and rose to stardom for that. You know what I mean? How brave. Let's see what else is. And Ross Greer, of course. Ross Greer, I was talking about last time. I mean, this has got to be similar to well, this has got to be in a response to what happened today. But then he's quote tweeted Trump and Starmer. And of course, when you can't win an argument, what do? Compare somebody to Hitler. Oh, you're just not as bad as, every argument on the internet devolves into, aye, but you're Hitler. If you're wondering what you would have done when you were alive, then it's whatever you're doing now. So he's saying that
Pleasure to bring
this is effectively saying that Trump is Hitler and that Starmer is Neville Chamberlain. I think it's quite a disgusting thing to say. Ross Greer not knowing his arse from his elbow. And Ross Greer is one of the most ridiculous student politicians we've got here in Scotland. Doesn't he know his arse from his elbow? But again, this is what we're getting for the UK. Jean Freeman, who sent thousands of old age pensioners to their deaths. She sent old age pensioners to their deaths in care homes during the pandemic. She shouldn't have, is she really going to poke her head out under the floorboards and start calling people disgusting? Is she really going to say that? Utterly disgusting behaviour. How dare they lecture him, interrupt him, demand thanks, twisting words, bullying, browbeating is par for their course. I am astonished by Zelensky's grace and patience. Do you see grace and patience here? Do you see it? I don't. But Jean Freeman has a joke. And here we go, one of the top comments. Wow, you sent hundreds of vulnerable OAPs to lonely, horrible, unnecessary deaths while appearing pissed. I don't think you're in any position to talk about disgusting behaviour. And there we go. Thousands. She sent thousands of people to their graves. Scots to their graves. She has no right to talk about anything. She should be she should be in jail. Who else is saying stuff? I think we're getting into the Epstein stuff. Oh, here we go. Our full-on John Swinney. Of course, he couldn't wait. This is only, an hour ago. Today's events in Washington are a clear cause for deep concern, for shock, for anger. What we need now are cool heads and clear thinking. We must stand firm with our European allies in the steadfast defence of Ukraine. That is where Scotland stands. No, that's where you stand, John. You don't speak for Scotland. You don't speak for Scotland. And when it comes to 2026, a year from now, you'll find out just how little you speak for Scotland. It's so galling to have the First Minister of Scotland. One, he's the most embarrassing individual probably in Scottish history. He's so embarrassing. But then he just talks shite like this all the time. But we'll probably do a peace plan table, an interactive table where we're going to put things down on a table, and we're going to try and visualize what a peace deal out of this war in the Ukraine looks like. We'll do that on Monday. So we'll have a think about it over the weekend. Let's scribble what we've done here. We've had the argument in the Oval Office. We've all seen it. Crazy scenes. The Trump statement ejecting Zelensky. Zelensky's statement upon leaving. And we've had all the Scottish politicians on the bandwagon in unison condemning that shit. Pink Pillows, I would come to Scotland for the word. I come to Niall Fraser for the word of Scotland. Thank you very much. A lot of people do. the voice of reason. So we're finished with the rumble in the Oval Office, and now we're going to a sort of story that should have been bigger than what it is, than what happened. You know, and we've got this. So what happened here in the Epstein files? The Epstein files. Let's get this big picture up. You'll see here. Oh my God! Look, the White House has invited social media influencers to the White House, and they're going to give them binders. And what's in the binders, ladies and gentlemen? It's the Epstein files. It's like the X-Files. It's the X-Files. The Epstein files. You know, we're going to give these people. I think that person in the middle is Libsy TikTok. We've got Cernovich there. I don't know who the guy on the left and the right is. But I think that's Libsy TikTok, and the guy behind the binder, I think that's Cernovich. But, you know, you've got these social media influencers brought to the White House and given Epstein files. I mean, it's so outlandish. But that's what they said they done. That's what they said they done. And where do we go for there? And here we got a good one. Instead of releasing the Epstein files to the public, we only give them to retarded social media influencers most of the country have never heard of. What do you think about that idea? What do you think about that idea? So very true. You know, it's just funny. And here we'll got a wee video here. This is one of the people who must have got it. Emily Austin. She must have been one of the influencers. Let's listen to what.
I saw y'all on the internet coming for Cash Patel saying he's day 5 and we haven't gotten the Epstein files. Well, I'm here outside the West Wing, and look at what we got today. The Epstein files, baby. Let's make America safe again.
What? I mean, you're thinking, this is crazy. They're just releasing the Epstein files to all these influencers. Wow, we're going to get justice so quick. Wow, we're going to get justice so quick. But then you start to see the truth. That all these influencers have got the same copy-pasted situation. They've got the same copy-pasted narrative. This is the most transparent administration in American history. And they're all saying it, every single one of them. Why is that? Why is that? And we're going to go through the Epstein files. I've got them right here. I've got them right here. Where are the Epstein stuff? Where's the Epstein stuff? Sorry, my bookmarks are not in order. I should really actually bookmarks and put things into different bits. Well, now that we went through that, what we'll do, we'll share this tab instead, because this is actually the Epstein files. I've managed to get them. I too have been given a binder. Niall Fraser has been given a binder. The social media influencers extend right across the pond to Scotland. And I've been given a binder. So what we'll do, we'll go back up. We'll flip this back round. And we'll go up to the top. Oh, that's upside down. Here we go. We'll start off with reading the page, and then I'll show you these Epstein files. And I'll take my wee face off, but you'll be able to hear me, just so you can read it for yourself. Just so you know that I'm not talking shite. Dear Director Patel, before you came into office, I requested the full and complete files related to Jeffrey Epstein. In response to this request, I have received approximately 200 pages of documents, which consisted primarily of flight logs, Epstein's list of contacts, and a list of victims' names and phone numbers. I repeatedly questioned whether this was the full set of documents responsive to my request, and was repeatedly assured by the FBI that we received a full set of documents. Late yesterday, I learned from a source that the FBI field office in New York was in possession of thousands of pages of documents related to the investigation of an indictment of Epstein. Despite my repeated requests, the FBI never disclosed the existence of these files. When you and I spoke yesterday, you were just as surprised as I was to learn this new information. By 8 a.m. tomorrow, February 28th, the FBI will deliver a full and complete Epstein files to my office, including all records, documents, audio and video recordings, and material related to Jeffrey Epstein and his clients, regardless of how such information was obtained. There will be no withholding of or limitations to my access. The Department of Justice will ensure that any public disclosure of this file will be done in a manner to protect the privacy of victims and in accordance with law. As I have done my entire professional year as a prosecutor, I am also directing you to conduct an immediate investigation as to why my order to the FBI was not followed. You will deliver me a comprehensive report of your findings and proposed personnel within 14 days. I appreciate your immediate attention to this important matter, and I know that we're both committed to transparency for the American people, and I look forward to continuing work with you to serve our president and our country. Pam Bondi. This has been sent to Kash Patel. Kash Patel has been put in charge of the FBI. But he's not giving up the files. He's not giving up the files. So what's happening? Let's burn this round. And this is a lot of shite, honestly. This binder is nothing that we've all seen it before. I'll see if I can zoom in on this for everyone. Can we start seeing this? We'll read through the contents. One cellophane containing blah, blah, blah. One DVD containing image log files. 3 tape cartridges. 2 tape cartridges. A CD labeled Girls Pics Nudes Book 4. One red rope containing VHS tapes, 4 CDs, a banker's box, 1 pair of women's cowboy boots, size 8. I mean, it's just silly. And this is like the evidence sort of admission here. Cellophane containing discs, matchmaker shared reconstruction, an unframed photo. 1 peach massage table. 1 green massage table, 1 beige massage table, 1 brown massage table. 1 box containing 4 framed photos. And you'll see it's very, very, it's a computer tower, a desktop, laptops, disk drives, hard drives, servers. This guy was running. Epstein was running the most comprehensive blackmail operation that the world has probably ever seen. This is my conclusion from what this has been, what we've seen here. And from what we know. And we know that Epstein didn't kill himself in jail. I mean, it's obvious. Epstein didn't commit suicide in jail. Who has the power? What foreign nation has the power to go into an American jail, switch off the cameras, make sure the guards are sleeping, and then kill someone? Answer that question and you'll realize who he's working for. But this is the biggest blackmail operation that the world was ever seen, that the world could possibly have ever seen. And it is no coincidence that he was working alongside Ghislaine Maxwell, the daughter of Robert Maxwell, who was running a very, very similar operation. It's a blackmail operation. So let's read some of this. I mean, some of it's a camera, employee contact list, handwritten notes, photos, blueprints, island blueprints, documents with names, employee contact list. But then we get to some of the funnier stuff towards the end. Let's see if I can find some of the stuff. You know, I saw computers again. I mean, just look at the level of computers he's got. You know, iMacs, desktops, hard drives, laptops, another desktop. I mean, it's just so many computers. Binders with 68 discs. Austrian passport. Binders with 58 discs. You know, black hard drives, iPad with serial number, black iPhone, one Apple desk computer, one iPad, 64 gig, you know, another iPad. It's just so much digital tech. They've got everything. Hard drives, servers, whatever you need to run a hugely successful blackmail operation and retain is all that information, all these videos, all these pictures, all these files. He's got it. But we'll look at some of the funnier stuff. A banker's box containing photos and CDs, titled "Women's Old Photo Box." 10 black binders, one blue in colour bust of female torso, one red rope containing 2 photos of female buttocks, one box containing 5 costumes and 1 wig, one red rope containing a vibrator, 3 butt plugs, 1 set of cuffs, 1 dildo, 1 leash, 1 box of condoms, 1 nurse's cap, and 1 stethoscope. And then one butt plug in another box. Epstein was a CIA asset. He was working for Maxwell. You know, and one, you know, they don't spare any expense. You know, we've got a nurse's costume. She can't be a nurse without a stethoscope. Get a stethoscope in here quickly. Not all nurses carry stethoscopes. Get a stethoscope. One box containing 4 framed photos of naked females, 1 set of copper handcuffs and whip, 1 green massage table, 3 sheets of paper, 1 photo depicting 2 girls in cash disbursements, handwritten note, Epstein letterheads, blueprints, SD cards, notebook. So this is the sort of the evidence that the FBI took from Epstein, and we haven't even seen half of 1% of the stuff yet, nowhere near. And you'll see what I mean. This you might think, oh wow, but Niall, like there's 224 pages of this stuff. Well, actually, the rest are all the flight logs that we've already seen. The rest are all the flight logs that we've already seen. We'll see if we can see some names, and some of them you can't even read. So you just see that it's just all of it. Let's see if we can see any names in here. These are the flight logs. I mean, some of it's illegible. Eileen Guggenheim. JE, 1 passenger. Sharon Reynolds. Is that Sophie Biddle? And it's GEJM. You'll see that a lot in these files. GEJM, which Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell. The pimps. The blackmailing pimps. But this is basically the entirety of these files. That's what these people have been given in the binders. It's nothing. This is nothing we haven't all seen before. I've seen these at least 10 years ago. At least 10 years ago. And when you get to the end, we'll see if we can put a number in here. We'll go 175. Well, 175, right? So this is where you get to, this was his contact list. This was his contact list. And I've seen this list unredacted. If you see my name, just ignore it. You know, JE, JM, and MM. Matthew Middleton. I knew it was you. I knew it was you, Matthew. I knew you were a wrong one. But when you think about it, what sort of fake-ass publicity stunt was this? They give all these social media influencers these binders with files that everyone's already seen. I've seen these files before, and I've seen it. You'll notice why are they all blacked out. Simon Le Bon. Let's look for the names. Let's see if we can find some names, right? David Koch. Dr. Henry Kissinger. So what these blocks represent, if you don't know already, if you haven't seen the actual files, what is being redacted here is phone numbers. So Epstein had a lot of different phone numbers for different people. You know, if he's only got one phone number, you'll see a small redaction. You'll see a small redaction. But if he's got lots of contacts for you, well, that's probably a bad sign. And then, you know, he's got a fair amount of contacts for Henry Kissinger, but this Dalamal Lal, tons of contacts for him. So let's see if we can see any more sort of famous names. Bobby and Mary Kennedy. Senator Edward Kennedy. Courtney Love. Peter Mandelson. I mean, it's the same old shit. I've seen these files years ago, ladies and gentlemen. Absolutely ages ago. You know, and, you know, Pink Pill's right. The names don't necessarily mean guilt of any kind. It just means that Epstein's got their phone number somehow. So what are we actually looking at here? What the guilt, and let's go back to Pink Pill's comment here. It doesn't necessarily mean guilt of any kind. I mean, Jeffrey Epstein could have my phone number in there. Of course it doesn't. But conceive of, you know, my phone number, if it was in here, right? The only sort of incriminating stuff, the only guilt would be what's on all the hard drives, what's on all the discs, what's in all the pictures, what's being depicted. You know, this is, you know, there's no smoke without fire. I just, what it's, it's saying is there's a sort of tenuous connection. And what I would say is to focus on the people who have got multiple entries, multiple numbers. If he's got one or two numbers, maybe not so much. But if he's got, look at this, Joel Pashkow, for example, he must have 10 phone numbers there under that redaction. But yeah, what am I getting at here? This was a orchestrated PR stunt. We've not learned anything. I've seen these files unredacted years ago. These very files. And yet, these social media influencers are walking out of the White House with files that I've seen probably 5 or 6 years ago. So what the fuck's going on? I mean, what is actually taking place here? Is this another cover-up? Are we going to see the actual files? We'll go to page 1 again. We'll share this tab. We'll go to page 1. So Pam Bondi is demanding the full files from this newly appointed Trump appointee Kash Patel. If they don't arrive, then I suspect a cover-up is in play. So I mean that's your Epstein files, ladies and gentlemen, and what a lot of shite. What a lot of shite. All that, you know, it was totally bungled. There's this sort of sense of excitement around this, these files being released. Or the social media influencer invited to the White House in some weird spectacle. All their talking points being totally coordinated. The quote, this is the most transparent administration in history. And then I've got the actual files, and it's just a giant disappointment. It's the same files I've seen years and years ago. And even then, I've seen them without the redactions. And people, I remember at the time, were phoning up the numbers. Like, just, we'll go to page, what was it, 175? I've turned this around a bit. Oh, sorry, ladies. Oops. These numbers, so say it was, I can't mind who it was. Wait, there's a couple of names in here, Ivanka Trump, Robert and Blaine Trump. And again, it doesn't imply guilt properly. Pam Bondi handled the release badly, and she was lied to at the same time. So what I think's happened to Pink Pills. I think she's actually going after Kash Patel because they've not been happening. They've not been properly done. He would trap people by after enticing people to blackmail them, but then they could have never returned from disgusted. So years ago, people were phoning numbers on this list. Years ago. And it was a big thing. I don't know if you've seen it. I don't know if you've watched any of these videos. But people were actually getting through to these people. Look, the Prince of Yugoslavia. Mikhail of the Prince of Yugoslavia. You know, I've seen these files years ago. And people were phoning the names. They were phoning the numbers on this list. And they were getting through to the people. That's how weird this was. This happened a while back now. Ghislaine Maxwell. But let's take this off the now. Let's take this off the now. Because we're on to our last segment, ladies and gentlemen. We're finished with the Epstein files. Because I think it's a big nothing burger. It seemed to me like a big, huge PR stunt that's went really, really wrong. A PR stunt that's went really, really wrong. But what are we going to talk about today? Well, we are going to talk about Rangers Football Club for our last segment. And you might think, oh no, Niall talking about Rangers Football Club, how annoying. Well, let me find the videos first. So this went out yesterday. And we'll watch the full bit. But STV, one of Scotland's leading LGBTQ plus supporters clubs, admits it still feels unsafe for their community to attend football matches, but says strides have been made to tackle homophobia in the stands. I don't understand, right? This is the thing, like straight off the bat, straight off the fucking bat, why do you have to turn up in a big rainbow jacket and tell everyone that you're gay? Why do people need to feel that they need to do this? To like wear your sexuality on as a badge, as a jacket? Why do people feel the need to do this? I don't know. You know what I mean? What's this thing about feeling safe? It's a lot of shite. It's about promoting an alien ideology. And we'll get to it. There's nothing wrong with being gay or lesbian, right? Nothing wrong with it. But what I do take umbrage to is the trans ideology that's folded in amongst it. It's destructive. It's societally destroying shit. And we'll get to the ramifications. But this was really quite funny for STV. One of Scotland's, we've read it before, but we'll watch the video. At 2.5 million views this video had. Oh, can't I see the comments? Oh, no comments. Oh, there's 76, but you can't see any of them. So let's watch.
And I didn't really have a community to come to games with. I moved to Glasgow to get away from the small town that I was born in and where I didn't really know anyone. And I found a community of like LGBT people. But being a Rangers supporter in the LGBT community, you're in a very small minority. So having this meant that I had a community of Rangers fans as well who I could, come to games with and not feel alone.
How would you describe the fan experience for the LGBTQ plus community at the moment?
It's certainly better. You certainly hear a lot less than of any sort of hate crime really compared to what you used to. And obviously not perfect just yet. It comes up and down in waves. And maybe we're going for a bit of a tougher time now than we were maybe 2 or 3 years ago, Clara.
I think what I would say is people still feel unsafe coming to games. So whether or not it's better or worse, the perception is that it's not safe but for some people to come to games, and we need to be here to change that perception.
2.5 million views, ladies and gentlemen. If you can believe it. 2.5 million views that video had. And most of it was negative. You'll see 130 likes, 264 reposts, but they've got their quote tweets condemning it, 74 comments before they shut the comments down. And we'll see if I can... Let's view some of the quotes. And this is the highest rated one. Almost 1 million views on this. Stu, well done and well said, my friend. Going to football games with a flag telling everyone about your sexuality will never make sense to me. Fuck off to Parkhead if you want to be a predator. Once again, Alphabet Brigade makes it all about them. No one cares if you're gay. I live in a rural area, one of the most traditional industries, and no one blinks an eye because I'm not ramming my personal life down their throat. Nobody gives a flying fuck who you have sex with, honestly. As long as you're not shoving it in people's face. We'll see if we can find my one. Comments turned off. Blah, blah, blah. Let's see if we can find my one. What did I say? No, there's me there. Having the Rangers badge emblazoned upon the pride flag is unacceptable, and we'll go into why it's unacceptable. The pride flag and the incorporation of the transgender ideology within it has come to represent pure indoctrination and delusion. Yes, We want gay and lesbian fans to be comfortable watching games. I mean, I don't know why gay and lesbian fans aren't comfortable coming to games without having to shove the fact that they're gay and lesbian down people's... I don't understand it. It's like having a big hat on that says I'm gay or something. You know, why? I don't think the society destroying, body destroying, puberty destroying, mental health destroying, fiction peddling, trans ideology anywhere near Rangers Football Club. And this is what it is. But we've got more. We've got more. Just need to find it in amongst this brutal amount of bookmarks that I've got. There we go. And this is the thing. This is where Rangers do. They've went woke. And they have to backtrack on this. They have to backtrack on this. Rangers, please, if you're listening. Rangers, anyone at Rangers Football Club, please. Are you listening? Please. Take the flag down. Take the flag down. Burn it. And then dispose of it. And never talk about this ever again. Please. Please. You know, it was bad enough with the Black Lives Matter shit. Neil! 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 You will kneel. No. And obviously it turns out George Floyd's like a, you know, massive criminal. Anyway. Rangers are sort of doubling down on this because this come out today. And it's really not... This isn't the football club that I support. And I think someone along the lines here has been pushed into doing this. I don't think it's smart. I don't think the football club really wants to be doing it. You know, I would be embarrassed if I was a Rangers player, embarrassed if I was a Rangers supporter, and embarrassed to be associated with a club that flew a flag like this. And we'll go into why. Because this flag, you know, the people who have been in the trenches against this ideology know exactly how pervasive and how destructive this flag can be. And, you know, it's no laughing matter. You know, Pink Pillows, don't worry, woke is going out. Woke has went out in your country, in the USA, because you've got an actual leader. Over here, we're still getting bought by Stonewall. But look, let's look at the comments as well. And suddenly, I've got the top comment. What's going on? If you understood the true ramifications of flying this flag, you wouldn't fly it. Flying the progress flag means you support the chemical castration of children and the destruction of women's rights. Two top comments. Absolutely brilliant. So I've got some bookmarks as to why. The transgender ideology is so destructive to children, to their education, to people's mindsets, to just basic truth. And we can tie this directly into the Sandy Peggy situation. I mean, Sandy Peggy, if nobody knows who Sandy Peggy is, she was an NHS nurse for 30 years. And then one day, she goes into the changing room and there's a guy in there changing. No, she's changing and somebody comes in. It's this trans doctor. He comes in and she's not comfortable with him changing there, so she leaves. And then this trans doctor, this man, pretending to be a woman, who could also have been pretending to be a doctor, took umbrage to that, took offence to that, then went and reported her to the board, and reported her to this, that, and the other, and went about a systematic campaign to try to get Sandy Peggy fired, this nurse of 30 years, because she was uncomfortable changing next to a man, which is illegal to force women today, by the way. So we've got this situation in NHS Fife, where we've got this tribunal, this employment tribunal, ongoing. It's sort of suspended until July, which is just a total farce in itself, because we're wasting this time and money when we should have paid the Sandy Peggy out. Anyway, This is what this flag leads to. This flag leads to utter delusion. You know, it flies in the face of reality. It flies in the face of truth. If you think that telling someone, if just say you've got a wee boy or a wee girl, many parents, I'm sure we've got many parents in the chat. If your boy or girl says, just say it's 8-year-old, 9-year-old, Mummy, Daddy, I think I'm actually a girl, or I'm actually a boy. I think I'm born in the wrong body. What a horrible thing for a parent to hear anyway. But you have to correct them and say, no, you're not. And then you'd question them, who put this idea in your head? Who put this idea in your head? Because often it's coming from social media, it's coming from the schools. Our education is absolutely packed to the rafters with this delusional indoctrination. It's packed to the rafters. But does it actually help someone? If you know there's we'll take it to like the other extreme. We've got men pretending to be women here in Scotland. Lots of them. Does it serve them any good lying to them and telling them, yes, you're a woman? No, it doesn't. It's not kind. It's not compassionate either. Because you're furthering this lie. You're furthering the delusion. You're lying to them. If someone was anorexic and they kept saying they're fat, and you were lying to them and said, yes, you are fat, that's not doing them any good at all. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. Sandy Peggy sounds like a scratchy date night at the beach. Anyway, we're going to go into some of the ramifications of this. Because, I did say they don't fully understand the true ramifications of this. Which they can be sort of... they can be forgiven for that. They can be forgiven for that because not a lot of people are in the trenches, in the gender war trenches, in the culture war. So let's look at some of the actual ramifications here. And this is a great video that I wanted to bring up. So before you start this, right? One of the contentions that trans people say they have. What happens when a person transitions? And by the way, I took major heat on trying to brick up. It was in the national press. The brick up Glasgow, Scotland's premier sex change clinic. It's gender service, they called it. The Sandyford in Glasgow. And, it was met with huge protests from the Rainbow Mob. Because I'm attacking their shrine. I'm attacking their conveyor belt, creating more people like them. That's why they hate me. But one of the things is that once somebody transitions, the suicide rate just goes through the roof. The suicide rate goes through the roof of men transitioning to women transitioning into men. Well, it can't be done, right? I could take all the drugs, all the gender drugs on the planet. I could undergo 1,000 surgeries. It's not going to make me a woman. Nothing can because nothing will. But people are lied to. People are lied to by these gender zealots and said, no, actually, you can become a woman. No, actually, you can become a man. All you need to do is take puberty blockers. All you need to do is have a wee bit of surgery. All you need to do is shave your Adam's apple down a bit. All you need to do. When there's nothing that can change it. And what happens? Over time, they start to realise that that's the salient truth. Nothing they can do can ever change sex. Nothing they can do can ever change their sex. So what happens? This lie, when they've went through, if you think about it, and it is Weimar Republic 2.0. What books were they burning, Matthew? What books were the Nazis burning? Tell me in the comments. Tell me what books the Nazis were burning. Tell me. It's one of the biggest red pills you'll ever get. What books were the Nazis burning? We both know. So if you, for instance, for a sort of an example here, in fact, we'll just say it's me. I've got a problem. Me, Niall Fraser, I've got a problem. I want to become a woman. So I go to the gender service, quote unquote gender service, and they say, actually, it's really easy to become a woman. You just need we'll get you on hormone replacement therapy. We'll do some surgeries. You can even go private for the surgery. So what do? I get a penile inversion. So they cut my penis off and invert it into a quote-unquote fake vagina. And they say, there you go, Niall. There's your vagina. This is like the most barbaric butchery that's ever happened on UK soil. On Earth's soil. So they've cut my penis off. They've inverted it into a hole. Not a vagina. It's impossible. They've tried to make it as much look like a vagina as they possibly can. But what it is it's an open wound. It's an open wound. I then can't pee correctly. This wound has to be, what do you call it? It has to be kept open because naturally the body's trying to heal itself. It's, you've done crazy damage to yourself, cutting your penis off, and inverting it into some wound. So you need to put things in it to stop it healing up. It then starts to stink. It starts to rot. And it starts to fester. And everything goes downhill from then on. And then people wonder why. Then people wonder why the suicide rate skyrockets. They're promised a fully functioning vagina, ladies and gentlemen. I'm so sorry, Scorpion. You might want to pass on dinner. If you've got a Zempic in there, I just jab yourself right in the eyes with that. I'm sorry. It just, it takes it took a dark turn there. It took a dark turn. But this, and then when you have conversations with people, but why? I mean, this is like, it's the biggest eye opener to the harm that trans ideology causes is the suicide rates that rise after the fact. Matthew, the resident troll in the building. Don't know. The biggest, it's like the biggest indicator that this trans ideology is doing wrong is, in fact, the suicide rates that happen after the fact. And then you'll have conversations with people and they'll say, the suicide rates go up, Niall, because it's people like you, it's bigots like you that can't accept people. Well, it's just patently wrong. But I've had full-on conversations and debates with people that will always come down to that. They'll say it's bigots like you that are non-accepting, and it's your fault. It's your fault the suicide rate goes up, which is just the most ridiculous argument ever. If I didn't exist, the suicide rate would still maintain. If we were to line up all the people in the world that were quote-unquote non-accepting of this trans ideology, and were to just put them against the wall and shoot them all, the suicide rate would remain the same. Why? Because it's not the people who are saying, who are non-accepting it, that's the problem. It's the mutilation that they've done to themselves and their bodies. It's the chemical imbalance that's caused in the brain with all these hormones and sex, these hormone replacement therapies that's causing the suicide rates to jump. So don't give me this pish that it's people that are non-accepting that causes the suicide rate. But let's watch the video. I've been teasing it so long. Let's watch this. This is quite an old one.
What is the success rate of sex change operations?
Well, we have, it's hard to find longer term data with children, but what the data that we do have, which is probably the most reliable data point available, is from a Swedish study, and it looked at over 10 years, which is really important because regret doesn't just happen a year after some sort of transition.
This is the thing. You have to monitor. You have to monitor the same people who have went through the transition for a long period of time. And it's very true what she's saying. Regret doesn't happen the day after you have the surgery. The regret sets in. Could be years down the line. Could be years down the line. And then they commit suicide.
Transition. And what you see is a suicide rate that's associated with 19 times higher than the general population.
Well, actually, there is a 0%. There's a 100% failure rate for sex change operations, isn't there? Because it's not possible to change your sex.
That's right.
100% failure rate for these procedures.
That's right. You can't change your sex.
Thank you, and I yield.
Beautiful. My phone's gone in the background there. Sorry if you hear it vibrating away. But again, Pink Pillows, thanks for the information. That's Republican Harriet Hagerman. And it's very true what they're saying. There's a 0% success rate with these sex change surgeries because it's impossible. For it is impossible. So let's see some other things. Gays against groomers. Watch this. This family has 2 trans kids. 2. Oh no, I wonder what's happening there. And again, this is child abuse. This is straight up child abuse. The child has got no say in the matter. Let's watch this horrendous video. And then we'll bring it back to Rangers.
The reaction when people hear that we have 2 trans kids is pretty shock and awe.
Before I had transitioned, I had like a piece missing to me and it just didn't feel right. And I was nervous to tell my parents.
Being trans would mean you were born the gender that you don't feel like in your heart.
It just now, a month ago, started hormone blockers to prevent his menstruation cycle and breast development, which would cause a lot of havoc mentally. Can you show me what the blocker looks like that's implanted? First, show me in your arm. Where is it?
It's right there.
Right there? Can I feel it?
Mm-hmm.
Do people ever wonder if you're too young to know if you're trans?
Yeah, and like, are they too young to know that they're cis?
It's just mental.
Olivia said she was transgender from the age of 4 until 5, and we allowed her to wear whatever she wanted, but she didn't socially transition until she was 5 years old. A lot of people think that it must be a copycat situation where the younger one's just mimicking the older one, which makes sense, which is why we also hesitated in terms of jumping into another social transition. But this is who she is, and this is where we are.
I reacted to Olivia transitioning like most older siblings would, which is kind of like, but really? Even though I'm trans, I got a little defensive because I thought it was my thing. But now I saw and still see that Olivia is a girl and that she always will be a girl.
Right, let's get this off the screen. Let's stop this. Let's not. Let's bring me back to it. So, Rangers Football Club, if anyone's listening, yes, Pink Paws, it's demonic. It's brainwashing. It's cult-like behaviour. It's child abuse. And Rangers Football Club, if anyone's listening, please remove that flag. I don't know why Rangers associated with that shit. I don't think Rangers Football Club would want the reputational damage that would come to them in the future when we all realise, when the penny drops, that this whole thing is a child abusing, satanic, demonic, cult-like social contagion that's destroyed minds and bodies of children up and down Scotland, up and down the UK, right across the West. And it's, you see all the Hollywood parade their trans children around like they're a new bag, like they're an accessory. Look how accepting I am. My kid is trans. So who's advising this at Rangers? Who's behind this at Rangers? Please stop it. Can somebody please get in touch with Rangers Football Club and stop them ruining their reputation? And this is me coming, I'm a Rangers supporter. I don't want this happening to my club. Don't they see the damage it's causing? So we've seen the ramifications of what it's actually causing, this gender affirming care. It's so far from it. And what you're actually doing is you're leading people down a very dark path that has a gigantic suicide rate. Do you want that on your conscience, Rangers Football Club? Really? Do you want that on your conscience? So that ends the 3 segments that we've done tonight. That ends the 3 segments tonight. We'll have a brief look at the papers before we call it a night. Edinburgh News. Don't evict army vets. We'll read that one. Campaigners ask council to buy MOD houses in Dreghorn so that tenants can stay in their home. Here we are. I'll get the comment down there. Sorry, Pink Pillows. What are you saying as well? The trans children crap will be looked at negatively, like slavery. Absolutely. That's a good kind of comparison as well. Council's urged to buy ex-MOD houses to protect tenants by Ian Swanson. Housing campaign group Living Rent is calling the Edinburgh City Council to buy around 40 Ministry of Defence houses in Dreghorn so that the tenants who have been threatened with their eviction can stay in their homes. We go around, I think Midlothian, the councillors, this is another story that's sort of just causing people to go, what the actual fuck? The council, some council, I think it was Midlothian Council, agreed a 56% increase in their wages. Councillors went to 35 grand to 50 grand in some cases. Meanwhile, were evicting people for their houses. We've not got the money to get them. Tenants claim they were told that when they took on the properties, they could stay in them for as long as they wanted. But the MOD, through its estate arm and the Defence Infrastructure Organisation, has deemed the houses surplus to requirements and wrote to the 38 tenants before Christmas, saying they would have to move out in the summer 2025. The City Council has already bought 40 empty homes on the estate, which is next to the Dreghorn Barracks, to help it tackle Edinburgh's housing crisis emergency. Now, Living Rent is urging the council to adjust its tenanted acquisition policy so it would take over the MOD homes with the tenants still living in them. Helen Collins and her husband John have lived in their house for more than 2 decades, moving in when he was still in the army and then becoming private tenants when he left. She said, "My family has resided in the same home for 21 years, a place where we built our lives and stability. My husband, a veteran, who dedicated 27 years of service to our country, and I have established a strong foundation here. For the past 8 years, I have been operating as a child-minding service from our home, providing essential care and support for local families. The financial implications of eviction would be devastating, as it would not only result in the loss of my livelihood, but also severely disrupt our ability to meet basic needs. We would be forced to give up our car, and without that, my husband would be unable to commute to work and would struggle to maintain payments on our loans, credit cards, and other financial obligations. This chain of events could force us into bankruptcy, jeopardising our financial future and well-being." The MOD told the Evening Times earlier this month that Dreghorn houses were no longer required for defence use and were therefore sublet as a temporary measure, but insisted sublets were always offered on short-term basis only and could not be considered as an alternative source of social housing. So we've got this situation in Edinburgh where people are losing their homes. They've just fired council tax up 9%, and they're just shafting people at their houses. The army veterans, and then briefly, last 5 minutes, Trump backs great trade deal for Brexit Britain. Well, that sounds actually relatively possible, relatively positive, rather. And of course, we got this weird story of Gene Hackman family to believe he and his wife died from toxic fumes. Very weird story that, where him, his wife, and his dog, or one of the dogs, have died. Warm words as the King invites the US President to Scotland for a state visit. Yes! 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 Whenever Trump comes, I promise you, ladies and gentlemen, whenever Trump comes, I will be there. I will be flying the Trump flag. I might even I'll do a Niall Fraser show live as Air Force One touches down. I promise you that, ladies and gentlemen. Trump backs great trade deal for Brexit Britain. Donald Trump predicted a great trade deal with wonderful Britain last night as he praised Brexit. US President called Sir Keir Starmer a special man in their extraordinary White House living, above saying he could very well end up with a real trade deal where tariffs wouldn't be necessary. Mr. Trump added that the agreement will happen very quickly as he goes on the attack what he claims are unfair trade agreements. And we've got this lovely spread here. Sorry, I just can't handle papers. Lovely spread there. We're going to make some great trade agreements and it will happen very quickly. And you have to admit, Trump acts so quickly. You know, it's Keir Starmer one day, and then it's Zelensky the next day. And then it'll be Putin soon. It's absolutely crazy. Mr. Trump said that he was hoping to seal a trade deal with Britain as quickly as it can be done. He continued, "We're going to end up with a very good trade agreement for both countries. We'll have some maybe in terms of possibilities agreed very shortly, but we're going to make some great trade deals with the UK and it'll happen very quickly." Asked if the PM had convinced him not to impose tariffs on the UK, Mr. Trump said he tried. He was working hard. He earned whatever the hell they pay him over there, but he tried. Mr. Trump, who had greeted Sir Keir Starmer outside the West Wing, accepted the King's invitation to an unprecedented second state visit to the UK and said that Britain was America's #1 ally. But he is likely to have provoked some fury by saying he is inclined to go along with the UK's Chagos Islands deal, the handing over of sovereignty to Mauritius, including the Diego Garcia military airbase jointly used by the US, as he described by some critics as a surrender. So, and of course, we'll hit the sort of the other contentious points. When Starmer was speaking, he said, "That's enough. We live in strange times." Absolutely. A peaceful and prosperous world is the goal. Exactly. And it isn't wrong to expect Trump to fight America's corner. It isn't wrong to expect Keir Starmer or the Prime Minister, whoever it is, in the future to fight the UK's corner. But there was some contentious things that happened in this meet. Red-faced JD Vance, far right, with Starmer and Trump yesterday. Free-speaking PM takes a pop at critic Vance. Whatever deal they come up with, Putin doesn't always stick to agreements. I think they'll stick to, depends on who the administration is, isn't it? You know, I think they could get away with stuff under Biden. So Keir Starmer's hit back at the US President JD Vance after he's accused the UK of infringements on free speech. The comment was made during a question and answer session between the politicians and reporters in the Oval Office. Turning bright red, Mr. Vance said, "I said what I said, which is that we do have a special relationship with our friends in the UK and some of our European allies, but we also know that there have been infringements on free speech that affect not just the British, of course. What the British do in their own country is up to them, but also American technology companies and, by extension, American citizens." So he is, of course, talking about Apple. Apple being forced to hand over encrypted data to the UK government. Wrong. Very wrong indeed. So that is something that we'll talk about today at lunch. Hitting back, well, we've had free speech for a very, very long in the United Kingdom, and it will last for a very, very long time. And the thing is, we don't really have free speech in this country. So Keir Starmer's talking shite here. And JD Vance is absolutely correct. We put people in jail for things said on social media. We've still got people serving time in jail for things they've said on social media. So, where's this free speech, Keir Starmer? Where is it? Certainly wouldn't want to reach across US citizens, and we don't, and that's absolutely right. But in relation to free speech in the UK, I'm very proud of our history there. Well, free speech is history here. History. And Apple did have to agree to that. But then they said in their statement that they didn't want to have to do this. Mr. Vance had lectured European nations on the matter before the Munich Security Conference earlier this month. He said that freedom of expression was in retreat across Britain and wider Europe. Earlier this month, he criticised the UK over a court case brought against physiotherapist Adam Smith Connor, 51, who silently prayed outside an abortion clinic in Bournemouth. He was convicted of breaching the safe zone around the centre after refusing requests to move on. And we had our own Scottish story about that. We had our own Scottish story about that. And we'll just bring that up for the last sort of clip. 2 seconds while I find the video. So we had the exact same thing happen in Scotland. And if you didn't see this clip, this is absolutely insane. We'll take them the Rangers Go Look banner. So this happened 10 days ago in Glasgow. A woman standing silently praying outside across the road for an abortion clinic in Scotland, jailed.
Standing up.
Bring this volume down a bit.
outside the Queen Elizabeth Hospital in Glasgow this afternoon. Let's see what happens next.
So you are aware of the legislation that this is a restricted area for protests? So you're within this restricted area? You're aware of that? Right. Rose, at this moment in time, the time is 1,500 hours. I'm going to charge you. I'm going to charge you, but before I do so, I'm questioning you. You're not obliged to say anything. Anything you do say will be noted down and may be used in evidence. The offence is, now in this day and date, you involve yourself in a protest which within a restricted zone that's likely to cause distress or harm to others. Contrary to Section 4 of the Abortion Services Scotland Safe Zones Act, Scotland Act 2024. Do you understand that charge? Do you wish to make any reply to that charge? No, that's fine. What will happen just now is I'm not going to take you back to the station. You will be reported from the street. I will ask you to leave this area now. If you refuse to do so, you will be arrested for refusing to desist and you will be taken to the station. So I'm going to kindly ask you to move on from here. Now up to yourself where you want to do it. That's fine. I'm going to speak with my guy.
What a brave lady this woman is. I'll stay. I'll stand. This happened in Glasgow, by the way. Absolutely harrowing scenes. This could be your granny. And you can tell this officer doesn't want to arrest this woman. He doesn't want to arrest this woman at all. And you know, this is the thing with a safe buffer zone Scotland Act 2024, just passed last year, almost universally. I think there was one person voted against it. John Mason. One person voted against this. This policeman doesn't want to arrest this woman. It gives her the opportunity to move on. And she says, no, I won't. Very brave woman indeed. But it's like he can see his mum, his gran. He can see the humanity in her. But what I wanted to say is this group of people, 40 Days for Life, they come and they pray silently outside abortion clinics for 40 days. What are they praying for, ladies and gentlemen? What are the people praying for? Answers on a postcard. What are they praying for? They're praying that somebody going into that clinic changes their mind. That's what they're doing. And often they do. Women going in there to get an abortion, they might see the people across the road and see there's another way. I want this child. And surely, in everyone's world, in everyone's mind, in everyone's brain, anyone with a semblance of common sense, surely that's a win, right? Is that a win? If a woman walking into an abortion clinic sees these people, has a crisis of conscience, walks back out across the road, speaks to these people, changes her mind, has the child, surely that's a good thing. Isn't it? Of course it is. So why are we putting legislation in place to stop that very thing happening? That's the Greens for you.
Now up to yourself where you want to do it. That's fine. I'm going to speak with my gaffer. You have been charged with offence. I'm asking you nicely. You will be reported for the offence. That's the idea we will get that. Okay?
And you'll see here, this policeman again, he really doesn't want to be doing this. He even says, we're not going to bother putting the cuffs on you. You present no harm to anyone. And the wee lassie there, the woman there, says, no, we are putting the cuffs on you. And just slaps them right on this old woman. 74 years old. 74 years old. slapping cuffs on her as if she's just robbed a bank, as if she's just shoplifted.
So you're refusing to move?
Refusing to move.
Okay.
So we'll be on back to the station.
Need to arrest you, okay?
Okay.
Can you place your sign down for me? Thank you. You can take it with us,
Right.
but I need to hurt.
I'm not going to put cuffs on you. That's all. Right, we'll just put it on the front, okay? Just so it's. Can you step it? Please step back.
I can understand you're embarrassed.
No, I've got absolutely no issues with you filming, but please take a step back.
The voice of Richard Lucas there. I can see that you're embarrassed. If you aren't embarrassed, what type of person would you be? And Richard Lucas, you know, he's a brilliant guy. He can feel the situation. He can almost read this guy's mind. You know, what he said when they put cuffs on her. We'll go back to it. Listen to it again. Listen to it again. He says, we're not going to put cuffs on her. We're not going to put cuffs on you. Because clearly he can see his mum. He can see his gran. He can see someone in it. He can see someone in this woman.
Can you place your sign down for me? Thank you. You can take it with us,
Right.
but I need to hurt.
I'm not going to put cuffs on you.
Not going to put cuffs on you.
That's all. Right, we'll just put.
We are, says the woman. Symbolic arrest, making a statement.
Put it on the front, okay? Just so it's. Can you step it? Please step back.
I can understand you're embarrassed.
No, I've got absolutely no issues with you filming, but please.
Okay.
The target of the law is.
So, we'll get this done now. So, Keir Starmer, don't listen to Keir Starmer's gaslighting and say that we've got free speech in Britain when we fucking don't. When old ladies of 74 years of age can be arrested off the street for silently praying, don't tell me that we've got freedom of speech. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that was your Friday show. Thank you ever so much for watching. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been a spirited crowd. Almost 600 viewers live right now. Thank you ever so much for continuing to tune in to the Niall Fraser Show. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 9 p.m. You'll find me on X. And you know, this disparity on people on X is crazy. We've got 560 watching on X and only 7 people watching on YouTube. What is that about? But all the comments are coming for YouTube. Get yourself move on. Migrate over to YouTube. Give me a subscription. Give me a comment. Get involved. Get involved in the community. Thank you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a great night, but I'm not going to take any more of your precious time. Thank you ever so much for watching the Niall Fraser Show. You'll find me back on Monday. But the last thing we need to do before we leave is to play our marvellous outro music. So thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for the comments. Thanks for the engagement. Please do give us a like on YouTube. Give us a subscription. This is the thing. It's on Twitter live stream a minute ago. I don't understand the Twitter commenting section. I don't understand it. I think you have to come out and then call. I don't understand it either. It needs to be better. Elon Musk, come on, fix it up. No, you're not the dinosaur. Anyway, my phone's ringing again. Outro music's going to go on, and that's going to be the end of the show, right? Thank you all, ladies and gentlemen, and God bless you, and I'll see you again on Monday.